What's up, guys? Ted from Immersion here, and I am back with more recollections of a conversation with Jeremy Crawford. So I don't have a good name for this video series, but let's talk about feats. I love feats in Dungeons & Dragons. Maybe you love feats as well. And let's talk about why Jeremy Crawford said, more or less, too bad. If you're curious about what I'm talking about, be sure to stay tuned. So in the video that I already released discussing the idea of really no new classes unless the campaign specific demands it, and you can check the link in the card up there to see that video, I had said, okay, so you're not really looking to do new classes. You've already put the kibosh on the idea of prestige classes, so that's good. I guess it really does, if you think about it, and I was trying to be reasonable, right? You still can have a ton of customizability in the game by different subclasses, different races, and probably, new races, new subclasses, and new feats. That was just like an offhand comment that I made, and he said, well, actually, our playtest information suggests that players don't want more feat options. Take a moment and let that one sink in. The playtest feedback, whether it be from the survey or whether it be from internal Wizards playtesters, they do not want more unique feats in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. So he told me he cut that out, which, again, I'm analyzing a short conversation at a bar, but that's what we're doing. So from the sounds of that, it sounds like there may have been more, or the plan to add more at a point, and they were culled out because the feedback was they don't want to do that. So I had said, "Are you really?" And I was a little bit shocked by that, and he said, "Yeah, apparently the playtest feedback is that players don't really, they feel like it's too many options, or there's not, it's good where it is," because he actually referenced in that conversation the weapon feats from Unearthed Arcana and the skill feats from Unearthed Arcana, the ones that had existed in the past. I'd done reviews on those as well, which were cool because it expanded the idea of how to make weapon-based combat a little more unique, becoming a master of a certain weapon, as you have like a polearm master and great weapon fighting and sharpshooter in the player's handbook. What about the other weapon types? What about things like spears or things like flails or hammers, whatever? Those feats existed, and then how to become sort of an expert in a given skill by basically sacrificing a +2 to a stat or another type of feat to make you an expert in a given skill. And he said, yeah, we didn't publish those because the feedback was people didn't really enjoy them. So we got our feats in the player's handbook and our few additional racial feats in Volo's Guide to Monsters. In Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And from the sounds of it, I don't think we're going to get any more unless there's a real clamoring from the fandom, i.e. you guys and myself. If we really make a push, hey, when are we going to get new feats? Hey, when are we going to get new feats? We want new feats. It doesn't sound like that's a priority or anything that even anyone's entertaining. Now, it's a little bit interesting because we saw like a few things, like new spells and new feats kind of sneak their way in a few spots. For example, in the Wayfarer's Guide to Eberron, there is a new feat for dual-bladed scimitars, a special weapon, a new weapon type that is included in Wayfarer's Guide to Eberron. There's a feat associated with that. So that's one new feat that kind of snuck in, and again, we'll probably, but we may not, right? Because the book's not coming out till the end of this year, and that's the chance for whatever's going to be in that book is going to be the published version. So that feat may be cut completely, and we may not get it because they didn't deem it necessary in the book that comes out later this year. So that blew my mind, and I didn't want to sit there and belabor the point too much because I had other things I wanted to discuss, But yeah, what are your thoughts about no new feats for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons going forward? I mean, again, nothing's set in stone, and it's a conversation we had together at a bar, so take it with a grain of salt. But it seems like the general feedback from the majority of the populace of players is they would rather have new subclasses and potentially new races than having new feats, which I think is a shame, because I think you could, even with the way feats are designed in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, they can drastically alter the way you play a character. And you could be playing a character, and I could be playing a character, and we could be both be playing elf, fighters or something. And we could both be, dual weapon wielding fighters. But I took the dual wielder feat, and you took the savage attacker feat. And now the way we play is fundamentally different, even though we are basically the same. And I don't know, I think that that's interesting. Or maybe we're both dual wielding fighters, but I take the sharpshooter feat, and now rather than fighting two-handed, I'm throwing weapons more because that's how I did it. You know what I mean? It's things like that. So I think new feats would be a great option. I think it would actually add more variability in Adventure League play. Not that everything's focused around their organized play stuff, but that would just add another level of complexity there. Which, again, you can see why they may or may not want to do that, because it may add complexity where they don't want it. But I am extremely interested what you guys have to say. So please let me know what your thoughts are. Would you like to see more feats in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, or do you think that's a waste of time? And they should focus their efforts on other things like new races, new classes, maybe even new spells. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and stay tuned for more conversations with Jeremy Crawford, recollections from a bar at D&D Live 2019.